In a world not too dissimilar from our own, under the unerring gaze of a hidden power, a veil of deceit has been deftly woven, obscuring the chilling truth and lulling its inhabitants into a hypnotic dance of obedience. Imagine a society so masterfully manipulated. Its people willingly surrender their freedom, their voices, for an illusion of happiness, a facade of utopia. For in this world, the chains that bind are not of iron, but of whispered promises and blissful ignorance. Yet, amongst the silenced masses, whispers of rebellion begin to stir, echoing through the shadows, an unseen resistance determined to shatter the meticulously crafted illusion. This is a story of the oppressed and the unseen, a story of freedom and illusion. And I must warn you, once we embark on this journey, there's no turning back. Our tale may well leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about the price of happiness and the paradox of freedom. Prepare yourself for the unexpected, brace for the unknown, and remember, not everything is as it seems. The story begins with our protagonist, Morgan, on a normal day at work in the heart of the Providence's central command, known as the Core. As a respected linguist, his job is to polish and perfect the messages churned out by the propaganda machine, aimed at keeping citizens obedient and content. The words he writes seep into every corner of society, from public addresses and news broadcasts to the education system and entertainment. Morgan is a man of contrasts. His work with the Providence has given him a life of relative comfort, far from the crowded housing complexes and rigorous manual labor that many citizens endure. Yet he can't shake off a nagging feeling of unease about his role in this vast machinery. One day, while working on a particularly influential public address, Morgan stumbles upon a peculiar pattern in the messages, hidden phrases and syntactic structures that he did not author. He begins to pull at this thread and soon uncovers a vast web of embedded codes in the propaganda he helps create. As the scale of this discovery dawns upon him, Morgan becomes overwhelmed by an unsettling feeling. These aren't mere messages promoting civic duty and patriotism. They are an intricate psychological framework designed to convince citizens of the righteousness in their own subjugation. His whole perception of the Providence begins to shatter. The utopian society he once took pride in seems to be a meticulously crafted illusion, a sinister mirage hiding the corrosion of freedom. His conscience screams at him, igniting a desire to reveal the chilling reality behind the Providence's benevolence. As he leaves the Core that day, he looks out onto the sprawling city, its citizens obliviously going about their lives under the watchful gaze of the Providence. The feeling of unease grows stronger within him as he realizes the magnitude of his discovery and what it means for them all. The utopian society is not what it seems, and it's his duty to shed light on its sinister underbelly. And thus, the seeds of rebellion are sown in Morgan's heart, setting the stage for the ensuing battle against the Providence, a battle for truth and freedom. Unbeknownst to him, this decision will also set him on a collision course with someone he holds dear, leading to revelations he's least prepared for. Morgan starts to delve deeper into the intricacies of the hidden codes. The embedded patterns, almost imperceptible to the untrained eye, are not merely propaganda, but an advanced form of linguistic manipulation. This programming language for the mind is so subtle yet so potent that it's convinced an entire population to willingly surrender their freedoms to the Providence. With the realization of his complicity in this manipulation, Morgan's guilt compounds. He is faced with the bitter truth that his skill, his craft, is a tool of oppression rather than enlightenment. However, he is also the only one within the system aware of this insidious manipulation, and therefore the only one with the potential to disrupt it. At night, he pores over the encrypted scripts, decoding and understanding the scale of the Providence's influence. He discerns that these messages aim to instill fear of an undefined other, a looming external threat, while simultaneously reinforcing the perception of the Providence as the people's sole protector and savior. Haunted by the knowledge of his work's consequences and driven by the guilt of his involvement, Morgan decides to fight back. He begins crafting a deprogramming code that could potentially reverse the effects of the Providence's manipulation. However, he's also painfully aware of the surveillance system, the Eternal Eye, that monitors citizens' lives meticulously. He has to tread carefully to avoid arousing suspicion. As Morgan wrestles with his role in this machination, he's confronted by a sudden realization. He can't do this alone. His code needs to be broadcasted, and for that, he needs allies. The path leads him to the rumored resistance group, the Veritas Coalition, known for their staunch stand against the Providence. With a heavy heart and the burden of a nation's future on his shoulders, Morgan prepares to seek them out, stepping into a world of rebellion and intrigue. This move further entangles him in the dangerous game of truth and deception, leading him to the precipice of a terrifying confrontation. Having made contact with the Veritas Coalition, Morgan soon discovers a group of individuals just as disillusioned and committed to breaking the chains of the Providence's manipulation. They range from former government employees, who've seen the rot from within, to ordinary citizens who've begun to question the unsettling perfection of their world. As he becomes involved with the coalition, he shares his findings about the programming language used by the Providence and his theory of a counter deprogramming code. His revelation shocks the coalition, further cementing their resolve. With Morgan's expertise, they devise a plan to infiltrate the Day of Devotion, a nationwide event during which citizens reaffirm their commitment to the Providence, and the propaganda is at its most potent. However, their unity is short-lived. A member of the coalition, driven by fear and the promise of a privileged life, betrays them to the Providence. Their secret plan, once a beacon of hope, now becomes their downfall. The Providence, with its unparalleled surveillance system, quickly apprehends several members of the Veritas Coalition. Morgan is among those captured. In an eerie twist of fate, the man once instrumental in crafting the narrative now finds himself entrapped in it. The stakes have never been higher. The eternal eye turns on them, not as a tool of surveillance, but as a theater of punishment, broadcasting the crackdown on the resistance as a lesson to the citizens, reinforcing the narratives of fear and dependence. As the captured members face public trials, the hope of awakening the citizens from their manipulated slumber seems all but lost. However, unbeknownst to both Morgan and the Providence, a vital spark of the rebellion remains, a saved copy of the deprogramming code, and a lone rebel who has yet to be discovered. In the iron grip of the Providence, Morgan and the captured members of the Veritas Coalition are paraded through the city, an ominous spectacle meant to quash any thoughts of rebellion. The trials, broadcasted live to every citizen, are a meticulously orchestrated charade. Guilt is a foregone conclusion. The trials are nothing but a brutal show of power, with Morgan and the others as unwilling actors in their tragic play. While the city watches in silence, the trials stir an undercurrent of unease. Even with the Providence's mind manipulation, some citizens sense the inherent injustice. The trials trigger a subconscious resistance against the narrative they've been fed, a subtle chink in the armor of the Providence's hypnotic control. In the midst of this bleak reality, Morgan clings onto a sliver of hope. His eyes, when the camera pans onto him during the trial, speak volumes. They convey a silent plea to anyone watching, anyone who might understand the real narrative behind this twisted pageantry. Outside the city's central square, a lone figure watches the proceedings with a heavy heart. Zoe, Morgan's estranged daughter, unbeknownst to him a member of the Veritas Coalition, still walks free. She holds the key to their ultimate plan, the last remaining copy of the deprogramming code. A rush of determination courses through her veins as she looks at her father on the screen, resolving to broadcast the code and expose the Providence's true colors, come what may. As the act draws to a close, Zoe makes her move. The narrative reaches a boiling point, the tension culminating in a nerve-wracking countdown to the Day of Devotion, where the future of their society hangs in the balance. The Day of Devotion arrives, a spectacle of reverence towards the Providence, with citizens congregating in public squares, awaiting the customary addresses that reaffirm their faith in their protectors. Simultaneously, Zoe maneuvers through the city's underbelly, heading towards the broadcasting station, the deprogramming code hidden in her possession. While Morgan and the captured coalition members face their judgment, they can do nothing but hope for a miracle. As the sentences are delivered, the city holds its breath, the specter of oppression more tangible than ever. At the 11th hour, just as the citizens are about to partake in the ritual reaffirmation of their devotion, every screen across the city flickers and changes. Instead of the Providence's message, Morgan's deprogramming code floods the airwaves. The meticulously crafted reversal of the psychological manipulation spreads across the city like a wave, washing over the citizens. The Providence scrambles to regain control, but the damage is already done. Confusion and panic ensue as the people awaken to the horrifying reality of their manipulated existence. Their once pristine utopia morphs before their eyes into a dystopian nightmare. From the trial's platform, Morgan watches the ripple of change spreading through the crowd. He spots Zoe among the citizens, her face a mixture of fear and defiance, and understands her role in the broadcast. His heart fills with a strange concoction of dread and pride. As the story concludes, the Providence's seemingly invincible reign is in disarray, its hypnotic hold over the masses shattered. However, the future remains uncertain. The citizens are left to grapple with their newfound freedom, a terrifying and unfamiliar reality. The world as they know it has been upended, with a chilling sense of horror and trepidation for what lies ahead.